So while I do have specialties, I for sure simply love human beings. Um,
Whole spectrum of
Full
humanity
spectrum of
covered.
humanity. Um,
Love that.
so my specialties encompass, well, three things. One is in-depth psychotherapy, and in doing so, I work with folks recovering from childhood trauma, adults who have had relational and attachment um, injuries.
Mm,
Uh, the big label for that is right now is complex PTSD, because
mm,
there's a list of things that this can sort of fall under. The human person that has gotten hidden and has had to gone into hiding because of this kind of abuse is
mm,
really scared to come out and talk and play as themselves because it was never a safe thing to do. Uh,
mm,
and so, in as much as I work with people like this, we build a relationship of trust. There's no reason why anyone should trust me right off just because I have a degree and I say this is my specialty.
mm,
And I completely get that. I wouldn't trust myself either if I didn't know me. And just as we get to know someone else, it takes time to see if this person really has my best interest in mind, or is it
mm,
just another person who's going to use me and get something from me and then abandon me. So that's one area of expertise. The other area of expertise is creatives. I
mm.
have a degree in musicology, and so I love music, and so I have something of that kind of creative depressive type that has a lot to say but doesn't know really how to put form to it, and
Mm,
all sorts of things. So I really, to continue the theme of loving humanity, just like what is your particular contribution and
yeah.
aesthetic and bringing around beauty in the world, and sort of that kind of artist as prophetic vision, and how would you confront some of the issues that in your own language, in your own artistic way,
Mm,
things that are happening right now, just having a space to talk about that, but also to see what's kind of blocking in the way.
mm,
um, and then the third population are people who want to not just look at the psychology and the emotional growth, but also the spiritual side of humanity. So sometimes we call it psyche and sacred.
oh, I love
Those
that.
those who want to really kind of see how it all comes together or doesn't, but sees that as an important part of their own healing and growth as a person. So I see a lot of religious people who really, with their sincerity and they're really longing to sort of go deeper into the mysteries of the world. I love going on that adventure with people. I have my own story of that, but I would love to hear, others, and how that, again, I discover so much and learn so much from the people that I see. So those are the three sort of main areas. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist, so I also see couples and families. I mostly major, so to speak, on in with adult therapy right now. I do see some adolescents every once in a while. Again, I love people, but I don't do child therapy per se. Kids, amazing, but I prefer to focus on the things that I just talked about. It seems like that's my jam.
That's so cool. I had no idea you had a degree in musicology. That's awesome.
I do. I do. I have many degrees, and
Love it.
some are useful, and some are just they just hang on the wall. And
Nice.
I'd like to think that it shows that I'm just a basically curious person, and I just, which I think is true.
I love that. See, this is why I love these chats. You get to learn so much about the people you work with. I love this. Dr. Edgar, I love this because if you think about where we live, the city of LA, right? There's no shortage of creatives. There's
Mhm.
no shortage of opportunities to sort of exercise that skill set and that strength that you have with connecting with creatives and artists and individuals. Something that honestly has also come to mind too, especially now for me as a parent
Mm.
who's got a son who's entering the 9-year change, who's been through their, as a family, my wife and I and our kiddo, fair share of academic challenges in terms of finding the
Mhm.
right fit for school,
Mhm.
um, struggles with coming back to school after summer vacation,
Yeah.
especially now. I would love to pick your brain a little bit about what are you seeing within your practice that may be some of the consistent struggles that kids and families are facing when they start the new school year, and what does that actually look like? What are you seeing out there with your work and within your practice?
I think I think there are two main things. I'm not sure this is anything new, except for in the last 5 years or so. So it's new relative to the history of humanity.
Mm.
Um, uh, is the anxiety and the stress of doing everything, um,
Mm.
being over scheduled, in my opinion, but just the stress and that anxiety and the constant comparison uh, that comes from always being in a competitive atmosphere.
Mm.
Uh, I love competition. I played college lacrosse.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
I love sports. I love
Yeah.
many things. Um, but I think when uh, when it's taken so seriously that we forget the humanity of the child, uh,
Mm.
uh, the sort of need for rest, the need for just places of creativity and imagination, and really nothing scheduled, to have something from the inside be able to come out, that not everything is from the outside sort of forcing itself in.
Mm.
That uh, that I think helping kids really listen to their inner voice. That sounds woo woo, I realize,
Mm.
but who they are, and really helping them safeguard what is most precious in them. And that is a nice segue, I guess, into social media. That really, it's assaulting. It's that powerful. I see families divided, kids sort of their algorithm versus their algorithm, and it's completely different. And so they think, oh, this is what's going on. No, this is what's going on. And it's like there's more life going on in cyberspace than with the family
Oh.
itself, and with real time and real just sort of, you know,
Mm.
seeing each other's faces. And, the main one of the main elements of what makes us human is the human face. And it's that human face, live human face and interaction, where we get so much of the relational wiring that we come to the world with fed.
Yeah.
And when we just live in our heads because we see something there and we just sort of start imagining, and we're not actually interacting with the real person in front of us, first we come up with ideas that may or may not be true about them. But
Mm.
two, we are less concerned about how we treat and speak to the other, um,
Mm.
because we can do what a lot of people who've been traumatized can do, which is what I call hate and runs,
Oh, hate and runs. Oh.
where you just kind of dump your stuff because it's just and then you just go. You don't have to take responsibility for it.
Mm.
And online you can just do that all the time. But it destroys. I mean, it's like throwing up on someone, right?
Yep.
Like, here, let me just throw up on you,
I'm gonna leave.
and I'm going to leave. You just clean. I have the right to throw up on you. Well, no, I mean, you
Well,
could,
you
you
don't.
can. I'm not sure it's going to be helpful for a relationship,
Yeah.
for you to really be known and get known and sort of stay in the tension of that. But you're really letting other people have to clean up from that, and they're just going to hate you back. But there's no what? There's no context for that. There's no sort of like, oh, I am so sorry I said that.
Mm,
Let's go, let's it sort of came from this place, and you kind of see the face of the other, and it's like, oh right, like that's not okay for me to have done that. And so in my sort of world of depth psychology and psychoanalysis, we, we talk about the ethical responsibility towards the other, and the ways in which we actually have a responsibility towards the humanity of the other, that they're not just things or objects or ideas, or but
mm,
we are there and prioritizing the safety and the well-being for that person to flourish, and it happens in community.
mm.
So that's a sort of long-winded answer to families. I think we're all caught up in this in our society, but I think families and parents can really, I, you know, I sometimes think it's really unfair to put all this pressure on parents. It's like saying, going into a candy store and saying, "Okay, kids, don't take the candy." And the parents are like, "Okay, it's all there. So there's so much more candy than the parent can, it's like,
Yeah, you can't
well,
regulate that.
yeah. So you have all these intrusive, let's say candy coming into their minds, and it's like, what are parent? What, you know? So I have incredible empathy for parents and what is being asked of them. Like, well, it's not my fault. They can
Mhm,
just turn that
mhm.
off, and it's like they don't. I, until you have this, situation, I don't think you realize how intrusive and how much these platforms and these, media and all this kind of just get in there. And
Yeah,
it's, you have to play catch up all the time.
yeah,
So what about making sure that there's time where there's no phones, there's no media, there's nothing like that's not, it's going to look ugly at first, but I think it's going to be really helpful to actually sense the other human being and being like, oh, like I actually feel better. I don't know why, but I feel actually like I've had a good nutrition. I've been eating McDonald's this whole time.
oh,
McDonald's every once in a while is fine.
mm,
Um, but,
seriously.
but like once you have a meal, you're like, oh, wow, that feels really different.
Yeah,
Chicken, brown rice, it's like, oh, that's what my body needs. Doesn't need all
yeah,
this junk. Um, it's so hard to turn off. And so,
yeah,
help each other out here. Let's have connections and communities that say, okay, for tonight we're not going to have any phone, and we're going to maybe sit in silence if awkward, but something's going to come up because the world is always creating.
yes.
And so if we can tap into what is wanting to emerge and come through us,
Mm.
I think we'll really connect to our humanity in a way that we really are hungry for. Um,
You, I'm asking this next question purely from selfish reasons. I just want to know,
mm,
as a parent,
mhm,
because I think of all this, and my wife and I are really good. We try to be about the amount of exposure we give our kiddo in terms
mhm,
of screens.
mhm,
We sit down and have a family movie night
mhm,
once a week, but other than family movie night on Friday and maybe some Saturday stuff, that's kind of all our son gets. Now I know that's not normal for most families, but when you think about some of the challenges with screen exposure, social media, pressures to perform academically, activities at school, what are some of the things that you found to be helpful for like guiding and nurturing parents along this path? Like, what are some of the tools or tips you may be giving them to help keep them grounded and kind of focused on the big picture? Because there's a lot of noise that they could see out there online, right? Competing with other mental
right.
health providers on Instagram or different friends saying this. Really, what's been useful within your practice and within your work that you've seen that really helps these parents in terms of tools and tips and just a
Mhm,
different mindset that
mhm.
may help guide them through this journey together?
I think there's a myth that you can be the perfect parent, uh,
Mm,
and that I always find myself saying, look, your kid does not want page 55 of this book read, sort of enacted. They want you. So be messy, say the wrong thing. It's okay, and work it out. Like they want your real person. They don't want some kind of um, you know, now look in me in the eye, Now if that's something that comes naturally to you, absolutely do that. But they know the difference between, whether you're actually being fully present to them or not.
Mm,
Um, and so I would say, get some ideas in terms of tools and all that kind of stuff, but stay you. They want
mm.
you. They do not want, I promise. Like, and you just know. You're a parent,
Yeah,
Um, and
it's
and
so
so the
true.
self-criticizing and like, oh my God, I didn't do it this way. That's what other people are doing. That's fine. But you want a genuine, authentic relationship with your kid where you're going to make tons of mistakes. But we all need to learn how to be human with each other and be like, ooh, man, that was, I hate that I did that. Like, I don't like it. But
Yeah.
wow, what an occasion to teach and to teach oneself, but also your kid that that's not catastrophic. That's just what you're preparing your kid to live in the world with, just other human beings. So I think
Mm,
the kind of parent race to the top, who's going to get the best parent award is a there's nothing, there's no, what's the measuring stick? Uh,
yeah.
you don't for all intents and purposes, you don't know who your child is when you're supposed to, like, somehow you have
Yeah.
to get to know them, and you have to to figure out kind of the dance between you, and the
Yeah.
second one you have is not going to be like the first, and it's like whew. um so if you have to apply these rules to this, no, they want you, and it's okay. um so that, I think that's one thing. I think the other thing is helping them care about something outside of what they're used to. So I think, if you have the means, travel, go to places that do not operate the same way as Los Angeles people do.
So true.
Go
Yes.
somewhere that it's and 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 usually the reality is like, oh wow, we do have a lot here in the States, but also, oh, this is just the way we do it. That's also fine.
Yeah.
It's completely different. So that's travel, but you can also go, and this is scarier, go to the neighborhoods that we have such a
Mm,
multitude of amazing cultures represented. And
mm.
I'm speaking as a white person. The privilege of that is let me just go to this one and visit and come out. But
Totally.
my couple summers I lived in the inner city in Boston changed my life. And I was in college, and I was a very elite college, and no one had told me about this stuff. And so I there's something about just going to places and just sitting and learning and listening
Mm,
uh, and just being curious that is so much, that just enriches people so much more than you know you do five or six activities during the week. uh,
yeah.
that, um, and I always say the family that plays together stays together.
It's so true.
If you
So true.
just play games, go on a hike and do a scavenger hunt, just do some stuff as families and just like play. And so it's not so serious all the time. We're going to be okay. We really are.
Yes.
Um,
Oh,
and if you can cultivate that inner life, they'll be able to handle anything. Um,
Dr. Edgar, this was so fantastic because I think you touched on a lot of stuff that I'm sure for most people, maybe it's basic, but for some, it's probably mind blowing. This idea
mhm,
of play, get
mhm,
outside your environment, reduce screen time, provide time for connection, see each other's face.
Mhm.
And it's happening now, even with our little guy. He's got this little audio player where he brings to the table
Mhm.
sometimes at breakfast and likes to play it. I'm like, no, this is for after we eat. This is when I get to talk to you.
Right.
So
Right.
having that segmentation and intentional with how you spend time as a family is so valuable.
It
Um,
and I'd say, to add to that, just like that interaction, tolerate the anxiety. It's just anxiety about connecting with another person. We so quickly go to the phone to be like, okay,
mhm.
and it's like there's a sort of I have this person in my grasp, just the gesture of it, right? Whereas when you're with another person, you don't have your phone. It would be really weird if you just held them, in
Yeah,
place. Um, but it means being you're not in control. You don't know what's going to happen. But that's like a muscle that you train, and you kind of go, oh wow, like what am I going to learn today about,
yes.
I mean, how great the things that your kids say, and what I never would have thought I would say that, but there it is. um, so it's all practice. Sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't. It's all right.
Yep.
Again, perfection is an illusion. It doesn't exist, and it's more to save our own image than to actually be in reality. So just be, you're okay.